Josemonkey, where am I?
You asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, so I did. Hi, I'm josemonkey, and I find people who ask to be found. People frequently comment on my ability to decipher difficult-to-read text in these videos. And it's true, I have managed to squint and guess my way to reading very many hard-to-read signs. But not today. There is a sign in today's video that would have instantly revealed this location if only I had been able to read it. But I couldn't read it, and it made this place much more difficult to find. By the way, there's also something super interesting about this location that I didn't even realize until I was getting ready to make this video. So stick around to the end if you want to know more about that. The video is just 12 seconds long. Check it out.
Josemonkey, where am I?
So what can we see? This person asks to be found, and then through the window behind them we can see a few things. I had to flip the video around, but when I did, I noticed that we have a Great Clips salon here. We also have another store here that has a number over the door. It looked to me like it might be 310, but I wasn't 100% sure. I'll come back to that. Next, they flip the camera around and show us this highway, and we can see that there's some sort of construction happening here. It looks like maybe an overpass or something is being built. As they keep turning, we can see that there is a car starting to back into this parking space next to them. And when that happens, we're able to briefly see the license plate, and it looked to me like a Texas plate. And then right at the end, we get a brief glimpse of this sign. Now guys, I tried really hard to read this sign. I was pretty sure it said something sushi bar, but I could not figure out that word at the start. It looked like maybe it said Vimy or Vivi or Mimi or something like that, but nothing that I guessed ended up getting me a match. Okay, now, no cheating. If you think you can read that based on this, please post a comment and tell me what you think it says. I am genuinely curious if anybody can read that.
Bruh, no shot.
Okay, so I had to give up on that sign, but fortunately we had the Great Clips. So I figured that would be pretty helpful. Unfortunately, there are like 150 Great Clips locations in the state of Texas. Now the number that we can see on this building, what I thought said 310, was a good clue, but there were a couple of issues. First, that number was on a different store, not the Great Clips. It was either the one next to it or maybe the one that was 2 doors down. So that means the Great Clips could be like 308 or 309 or maybe 311 or 312 or maybe some other number entirely. But I figured it was a good bet that it probably started with 3. But the second issue was that I didn't know if that number was like part of the street address, like the house number, or if it was like a unit number or something like that, like Suite 310. So I tried doing a query against the OpenStreetMap database, looking for all Great Clips locations in the state of Texas that had a 3-digit house number that started with the number 3. And I didn't get too many, so I checked each one of them, but none of them were the right place. So I tried it again, this time looking for Great Clips salons that had a unit or suite number or something like that that was a 3-digit number that started with 3. And I had to figure out how to do that because I'd never done it before. But I did figure it out, and I got a short list of results, but none of them were right. I also tried doing a search for any sushi restaurants that were close to a Great Clips location in Texas, but I only found 2 north of Dallas, and neither one of those was the right place either. I was really starting to worry that this Great Clips salon was just not in the OpenStreetMap database. So guys, at that point, I just pulled up that long list of all of the Great Clips locations in Texas. And I figured I'd scan through the list for any that had a 300 in their address. But to even do that, I had to drill down into the page for each individual city in order to see the street addresses. So I did that, and I found a bunch that had 300s in the address, and I checked all those, and none of those were right either. But I also needed to check to see if any of them had a unit number or suite number or something like that. But there was an even bigger problem, because while you had to drill down to the city level to see the street addresses, you actually had to drill down to the store level to see the next level of addresses that would show you something like a unit number. And that was going to be really painful. So at that point, I cooked up some chicken nuggets, and I asked Chad if he would go through the list for me in exchange for those nuggets. And he agreed. And guys, I figured he'd be at it for hours, but about 20 minutes later, he called me over to show me something. So I went to check it out. And guys, that was it. You were here in Austin, Texas. So lucky for Chad over here, the list of salons was in alphabetical order by city, and this place happened to be in Austin. So he only had to go through about 20 locations before he found this one.
Thanks for the nugs, dog.
I used Google Street View to confirm, and we can see here that this view matches what we saw at the beginning of the video. And I also took a look at the state of that construction project that was happening on I-35. Here's what it looked like in January of this year. And from the street view, I was able to tell that you were parked right here because this sign is the one that we see in your video. To satisfy my curiosity, I had to go check to see what the name of that sushi place was, and it was apparently Umi, U-M-I. And wouldn't you know it, if you Google for Umi Sushi Bar, Texas, this comes up immediately. In case you're wondering, my data queries failed to find this place because this Great Clips was not in the OpenStreetMap database. But don't worry because I added it earlier today. Okay, it's time to check which previous location was closest to this one. And guys, this is what I was so excited about, because we have a new pair of closest locations. The closest place to this one was in Season 1, Episode 254, also in Austin, and it's practically in the same place. These two places are only 103 feet or 31 meters apart. And that's way closer than any of the previous pairs of close locations. In fact, it was so close that I thought I had an error in my formula when I first checked it, because it was reporting that the closest location was 0.0 miles away. But that's just because this is way too small of a distance to measure in miles. Check it out. When the person in Season 1, Episode 254 pans over to the left, they show us this parking lot, and that's the same parking lot. You were parked right over here where this dumpster is in that older video. We can even see that same real estate sign. So these two are now the pair of closest locations that I found. And the best part is that as far as I know, this happened organically. Many of the other locations I've found that are very close to each other are that way either because they're from the same person and they recorded multiple videos very close to each other, or because someone intentionally tried to get close to a previous location. But I don't think that happened here. I don't think this person knows how close they were to a previous location. But maybe they'll let us know if they see this. Guys, go check out the map of all the places I've found for you so far from the videos you've sent me. And if anybody else wants me to find them, record a video where you say, "Find me, Jose Monkey," or something like that on camera, or hold up a sign that says something similar. And don't forget to tag me in a comment on that video.